Hey, everybody, Bob Chick back with another edition of the Voice of Bodybuilding podcast. And who better to comment on the activities going on and the storylines this week as they unfolded but Derek Lunsford himself. What's up, Derek?
What's going on, Bob? It's good to be here, man. Thanks for hitting me up. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
well, I figured who better to hit up because all the other than the athlete rep stuff, I don't know if you were aware, Derek, but I'm the rep for the IFBB Pro athletes. So,
Yeah, I'm
um,
aware. I've been keeping up with all the bodybuilding stuff, so I'm aware. I get it.
what do you make out of all that? I mean, obviously, you see a lot of back and forth with Fuad and this guy in Palumbo, and everybody's got their 2 cents to pitch into it. But you've been a pro for a few years now. What do you make out of all that stuff?
Well, first of all, I love the ideas that everybody's presenting. I love that we all are passionate about bodybuilding and the NPC, IFBB Pro League, the Mr. Olympia. We all are passionate and love this, so we want to throw our ideas in, and hopefully, some are good and they stick, and we are able to elevate and improve the sport. But at the same time, when it comes to the drama, to where it's one guy versus this guy, and you're really butting heads, and there's all this drama, I would rather build camaraderie. I think that's the way to really truly grow this sport, is to breed positivity rather than the negativity. So that's the only thing with me, is like, as long as we can have positive dialogue and have constructive criticism, it's a good thing.
And it's a difficult job. I mean, as somebody who's been in the position for 20 years now, I can tell you, you have to, like all the naysayers out there. I don't want to delve on this. I want to get into your stuff, but I'll take just a few minutes.
Yeah.
You have to be able to work with the federation, not against them. We don't have the facilities this ain't the NFL. Like we hear all these things. Well, the NFL guy, he's just for the NFL players, and against the establishment and all that stuff. And look at, we don't have those type of facilities. Okay, there is no rage against the machine here. You either work with them and you all try to come to a consensus of what works for everybody and the athletes and the federation and all that, or you've got no negotiating power. You've got nothing.
I mean, you're right. Like, at the end of the day, the organization is the one that's providing the platform for us athletes to be a part of. So if it wasn't for the organization, then I wouldn't be able to have the career that I have. So, I mean, yeah, you're right in that sense. And like I said, going back to my original point, was everybody just loves this. Everybody is passionate about it, so they all want to see it continue to improve. And we all have our own ideas on how we can make it improve, whether it be on the business side or the athlete side, or whatever. So, I understand why people are eager to put their input in, but at the end of the day, that there are, select ones who make the final decisions. And, if you're going up against those people, they're the ones that have been doing this for 30, 40 years, so.
Well, just to clarify for those following the bouncing ball this week, that I'm a company man and I am on the IFBB payroll. I'm still waiting for that payroll check. I don't know where it is. I asked Jim Mannion the other day, if there's 20 years worth of checks I haven't been getting because they haven't been sent to the right address. Or this is a volunteer job, everybody. Okay, there is no IFBB payroll that I'm on. I've never got a dime from the IFBB for my role as the athlete's rep, or for anything else for that matter. Listen, I do the best I can for the athletes. I am going to reach out. Maybe I'll put like a big blanket email out to let all the new jacks know that have come in. Listen, yes, there's a lot of pros that have come in over the last few years who probably are unaware that they do have a rep. But listen, whether you think you have a rep or not, you are always free to come through with ideas. And listen, if anybody out there has got an idea, a premise, a proposal, whatever, you can contact me. That's fine. And I will give my email out there. It's IFBB Athletes Rep, all right, at AOL.com. Yes, I still have an AOL. Or listen, you all have, every pro has access, Derek, as you have, right, to the main office. You have a direct link, right? You put in for your IFBB Pro card every year. You put in to compete, right, to get your contracts. Everybody has access to get right to the IFBB if you wish to do that, and let them know what you're thinking. So either way, you have access to let the powers that be know what you're thinking, or if you've got any suggestions.
Exactly. I mean, like you said, we get our pro card every year, so it's got the address, phone number on there, so contact. But I think this is another thing to bring up too. It's always important to speak with the judges at the shows. Like when you're competing, getting that judge's feedback about your physique, but also, give your feedback about the show. How did you like the show? Like, what were the things that you liked about the show that you competed in? And maybe if you relay that information to the judges or the promoters, then they can take it and run with it at more shows.
Well, this is a great segue, Derek, because many, many years ago, I made this crazy proposal to put a class in that became the 212 division. Actually, originally it was the 210, then it went to the 202, and then we found the perfect spot there at 212, right? Has that helped you at all in your getting to the IFBB Pro League, or maybe in the position you and title you actually currently hold the title of 212 Olympia champion? Is that correct, sir?
That's absolutely correct. And yeah, man, if it wasn't for the last 5 years competing in the 212 Olympia, like I said, I mean, I wouldn't have any career in this sport at all at this point. So I'm super thankful for the 212. And I look at the IFBB Pro League divisions, men's physique, classic physique, 212, and open as really stepping stones from one to the next as you're progressing in your bodybuilding career, your bodybuilding journey. So it's just like the NPC, how they have
Sure.
bodybuilding weight classes, but in the IFBB Pro League they have different divisions. So the difference between the NPC having weight classes in bodybuilding and the different divisions in the IFBB Pro League, it is the judging criteria, which 212 and open have the same judging criteria as one another. So that's why they're so similar. Whereas classic and men's physique have a little bit different judging criteria, but all the same is true about developing the ultimate bodybuilding physique in your own bodybuilding journey. So I hope that there are more bodybuilders in men's physique, classic, 212, moving up divisions in the future. Yeah.
Well, Derek, you find yourself in a unique position. As everybody knows by now, following the bodybuilding scene, you came out in Pittsburgh this past, April? No, May 1st, I believe it was, week of May.
Yeah.
First week of May, if memory serves. Um, and you were out there with some of the other champs, guest posing, as it would be. But you weren't even scheduled to be guest posing. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Actually, Evagen had a booth there, and Hani was going to be at the Pittsburgh Pro, so he had asked me if I'd be available that weekend to get the booth, and I said absolutely. Even though it was my wife's birthday weekend, my
Right, right.
so her and I both went up there, and we were at the Evagen booth, Friday or Saturday, and Jim Manion had asked me in the hallway if I would want to guest pose that next day, and I said sure. I mean, I brought these gas trunks, and
Right.
I can shave, I can throw them on and put a tan on and get up there if you want. And to be quite honest, that 24 hours between Jim Manion asking me to step on stage and actually getting on stage, I was telling my wife, I was like, I don't really like to do off-season guest posings much because I like to be stage ready, like prep ready.
Sure, sure.
I'm on stage, so I've been training hard since the Olympia, and I haven't went too far off the diet to where I think I'm in okay shape. But for me, I'm like hypercritical. So I'm like, I don't know if I actually like want to get up there and present this right now, So I did, and it really like everybody was like, holy crap, what has this dude been doing?
Oh,
And
because you're a tiny little 212 guy. I mean, you're going to go up there and get crushed. They're going to make you look like an ant on stage, right? You can't stand next to these monsters. But that's not exactly what happened, is it?
yeah, thanks, Bob. I'm a tiny 212er. Come on, man. No,
Obviously, we're being facetious there, um, but that's what everybody says, right? Oh, he can't stand next to those guys. Yeah, he's 212. This and that.
yeah.
Um, that's not what happened. Actually, what happened is a lot of people that are aware. If you're not, go check out the footage, everybody, of the Pittsburgh Pro Jim Manion show this past May, and you can see what happened yourself. All of a sudden, you were the talk of the entire show, of all the guest posers that were out there. All the eyes kind of went to Derek Lunsford. Oh my God, did you see? Holy crap! He not only is he standing there, but he was in better shape than everybody. And how was the feedback and what you saw on the aftermath of that appearance?
not what I was expecting, to be honest. But like I said, I'm hypercritical of myself. Like I'm every day I'm looking at myself, seeing where I can improve and get better. So, I wasn't expecting that much of a response, but I'm gracious with it all. I'm happy that I'm able to bring excitement to bodybuilding and have something to talk about with the fans and everybody. So it's cool, man. I'm still on this journey to build my physique and be a better bodybuilder. And with that response, just gave me extra motivation for this year. So.
Well, Derek, there's been a lot of speculation since that time, as you're well aware. Derek Lunsford can't go back to the 212. Derek's way too. He's surpassed it. He's got to go to the Open. Um, let's just take this one at a time. Prior to that appearance, was there any talk between you and your coach, or anybody for that matter, about going to the Open or going back to the 212? Where were you before the weekend of May 1st?
No, there was absolutely zero talk about going Open. Honestly, I'm still talking to Hani about down to 212 and what we're gonna do this year. But when I came off of the Olympia stage last year with the 212 title, I was so excited, and you know, immediately Hani and I talked about coming back to defend the title and what we would do this offseason to bring a better package. So I don't know, man. I just got super excited and motivated after winning the title. Some
Sure.
people, they rest on their victories. For me, it just excites me even more. So I just kept training and I kept, to my diet and everything. And my body just kind of took off in a direction that we didn't even expect. Now, are we in a point where we can still come back to 212? Yeah. I mean, I definitely do believe that we are at a crossroads at this time in the phase of my bodybuilding
What
prep.
what was your weight on the Pittsburgh stage? Do you know?
Yeah, the highest weight that I recorded around that time, a couple of days before, was like 259 in the morning. So
Okay.
fast nine. So, and then after that, I think I dropped a few pounds since then. So I'm sitting, low 250s, just hovering, which is somewhat normal for me. Um,
But that was my next question. Is where were you? Let's say last year. We're about what 6 months out of the O. So where were you 6 months out last year before your victory?
the highest weight I recorded last year was like 248 in the morning. So like the 250 mark isn't something that's unusual to me, but
Right.
I can tell that this off season, I first of all, let me back it up. People ask, "What's your favorite thing to train when you go to the gym?" And I always say my lagging body parts, the body parts that I know I need to bring up the most. So I've been just super excited to bring up those lagging body parts, and so I can tell with those in those areas that I have improved pretty
Mhm.
significantly. So with
What
that, I
what are those lagging body parts? It's not your back. Let's just get that out of the way.
yeah, definitely my back is a strong point for me. So I
It's
yeah,
not.
on it, though I still train it, of course. I wanna see my chest improve and my arms improve and my calves, as well as like a little bit more of the legs too. Of course, I think you've noticed the difference in my leg development. So,
Absolutely.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, just fine tuning those areas and putting a little bit more tissue in those areas. So I've
So
noticed
the
that.
the difference between So the difference between last year and this year is you're about the same weight, but you brought up some parts, but you're in much better shape at this weight than you were last year.
Bingo. That's exactly right. So that's why it is still kind of on the fence. It's like, okay, we've improved, but it's not like, you know, I don't know. I don't think we're blown out to where it's impossible. But at the same time, I know that in the future, when I do go open at some point, again, this year, next year, whatever, that I know that having no weight cap will be my ultimate best at some point.
Now, we keep up pretty regularly, Derek, on your career and where you're going, and you actually will ask me for advices every here and there, which I appreciate. That said, you really don't know what you're doing right now, do you? In terms of you're going to go defend the title, you're going to go to the Open.
Right. And it is right now it is an off season to where I do have more fat on me now than I would leading into a show, of course, which is why I'm heavier. So until you really get peeled and stay ready and dry, you really don't know all of the muscle that you've accrued either. So it
Sure.
is going to take time to kind of shave my body down to the point where we're really close, and then that's when we'll really know where we're at.
The talking points that have surrounded all the podcasts and various other media outlets this past week has centered around the idea that a invite was up for grabs. This was speculated out there. Um, what are your views on it? Have you asked for an invite? Has your coach asked for an invite? Is that something you're even looking for? Or is it something that was news to you?
Yeah, it's not something that I've asked anybody for. That's for sure. I've kind of taken a back seat to it and just
Sure.
merely focused on training. And I don't know if Hani has had any conversations or not about that. Those are some of the conversations that Hani and I don't have. When he has, especially with other people, we don't talk about that kind of stuff. We're more coach athlete, and I just follow the plan, and I just want to improve my body. So really, I don't know. I'd have to ask him myself if he's asked for special invite or not. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure he's on his way back home today. I was going to give him a call probably tomorrow to go over everything. So
No, I've known you for a while, Derek. You're a pretty stand-up guy when it comes to competing. You're not afraid of getting on the stage, putting your stuff out there. And rightfully, listen, you won the title fair and square last year. So, what is your personal opinion on an invite? Is that something that you feel is warranted, or you're like, look, I got no problem going out there and making my own way, qualifying, and I'll go that route if that's what you wanted to do.
yeah. Um, well, as a fan of bodybuilding, when someone like Kai Green, I don't want to just throw his name out there, but this was a circumstance that had happened a few years back. We knew that Kai was one of the best in the world, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so everybody wanted to see him on that Olympia stage, regardless of whether he qualified or not. So we were hoping to have Kai Green with a special invite on stage, the same as Flex
Sure.
Lewis. He's never qualified for the Open as well,
Right.
um, but has had a special invite. So we were really excited to see that. And myself, I'm not against it. When I heard Flex Lewis was going to be in the Open, that excited me. When I heard Kai Green was going to come back and do it the Olympia again, I was excited. So that never really like bothered me when it came to those circumstances because we knew that they were one of the best in the world already, and we want the best in the world on that Super Bowl of bodybuilding stage. That Mr. Olympia stage.
Sure.
So there's on one hand, yeah, the way to get to Olympia is through qualification, but then at the same time, when you know that you have the best in the world uh, out there, you want them on that stage that night.
You are the best in the world, respectively, in your division. In the 212, you're the 212 Olympian champ, well deserved, well earned. Um, where are you internally? Like a big part of you's got to be saying, like, yes, I want to go and defend that title. It's not a one-off. All right, I can go back there. You can easily get back there, like you said. It's going to take some work, but you just did it 7 months ago. Um, so that's not really the big issue. And where are you personally with? Okay, I want to go defend the title versus. Boy, I would love to go to the Open and kind of, go up against the big boys and compete for not only the bigger title but the bigger paycheck.
Yeah, so that's why I said earlier is that I know one day I will be in the Open. So there's no question to me. When we talked earlier, I told you there's no idea of retiring anytime soon for me. So I know that I want to be in for a while, right? So no question for me. I know that that will come, and why I would want to do that and not hold back is really I feel like I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. There's never been a two division champion, a champ out there, and I think that's historical. That's something to be excited about as a fan of bodybuilding. So that's why I want to go do that. But whether it's this year or next year, we'll see. And there is a difference. We've talked about the divisions. There's a $50,000 check
Yeah,
versus a $400,000 check. That's a pretty awesome
sure.
uh, too. So and plus not to mention like at the end of the day, the Sandow is given to the open division. So for all those reasons, that is what would pull anyone to want to go to the open. But at the same time, remember I talked to you back to the Arnold
Yeah,
Classic. I said I wanted to come back and defend that title, and
Yeah.
it's because it means something to me.
Sure.
I don't want to disrespect it because I had 5 years in the 212 division, and now that I have the title, it's really hard to want to give that up. So either way, man, like I said, this is bodybuilding, so I just gotta focus on this
Well, the
here.
cool thing
My,
is you're kind of in a no lose situation. If you should decide
Mhm.
at the end of the day, and obviously the ultimate decision is yours. You do have a coach in Hani Rambod, very well respected. I know Hani for many years. His input's going to mean something to you. At the end of the day, you're the athlete. You got to make the decision. Half of you's got to
Yeah,
sit there and go, man, I want to repeat this title, right? I'll go back. Let's
yeah,
just say you do, you defend it, and then you can say, okay, I can retire on stage as a two-time champ and say, I'll see you at the Open. On the other hand,
yeah,
you stood up and held your own more than so in Pittsburgh against some of the biggest and the best in the world, and
yeah,
you put to sleep a lot of the speculation and innuendo that you couldn't stand up next. When you say the big boys, well, you are one of the big boys, right? And for those, and me and Sean Ray, speculated on this on the show, which I know you saw. Um, Listen, you're not like giving up a whole lot of height slash weight to anybody. William Bonac, I assume you're taller than. Nick Walker, I think you're taller than. Um, Hunter Labrada, again, if you guys are off in, maybe an inch or so difference, same with Brandon Curry. So when we put some of the biggest names in there, you're right there with these guys. It's not like you're a foot shorter, and certainly you're wider than some of them. I mean, that we know.
right. So in terms of that, yeah, it excites me. But let me flip it back on
Okay,
you.
sir.
If you were in my position, what would you do?
Well, it's interesting because I gave you my advices back in, 6 months ago, whenever we talked, right? You actually asked me, like,
Mhm.
hey, what do you think I should do? And I said I would be apt to go defend the title, right? You're the champ. It's your title. Go defend it. God bless you. And then I was quick to tell you, you're going to end up in the Open at some point, right? So we were kind of ahead
Yeah,
of the game. But then you showed up in Pittsburgh, and it's like, wait a minute here. Like Derrick's in shape
yeah,
at 250 or whatever you were. And
yeah,
that's pretty impressive. And yes, do I think you could be an instant contender on the stage? Yes, if you decided to go to Open, let's just go down hypothetical avenue, okay? You throw your hat in the Open this year. I absolutely believe you would be in the first call out. No question about it. Of course, we're going to go on the idea that you nail it, right? You're close to 100%, or as best as you can be,
yeah,
right? You would absolutely be in that first call out, and you would be fighting for a top 5 spot, in my opinion. On the other hand, this is I can see where you're kind of torn on this. You're the defending champion at 212. Like I say, it took you 5 years to get
yeah,
there. You finally nailed it. You kind of want to hang on to that for a little bit, right? Now, you're no Flex Lewis
right,
in that you're not going to be a 7-time champ. You'll never make it that far in terms of where your musculature is and your weight. You were absolutely going to be an Open competitor. If
Mhm.
not this year, then certainly next year. I think your
Mhm.
structure is a little bit bigger than Flex's. Your shoulders are wider. Your bone structure is big. Flex was able to do it. He had to kill himself the last 3 years or so to do it, but he was able to do it much better than you would be. One more year, forget about it. It would be you'd have to lose way too much
Mhm.
muscle to make the class.
Yeah,
So where would I point you in the direction if it's me? You're a young guy. You've got a lot of years. I would tend to tell you go defend your title. Go be a two-time
yeah.
champ. You got 10 years to go in the sport, and for the next 10 years, you'll be fighting for the Mr. Olympia title. That would be my advice. Is always the
Yeah.
right ones, by the way.
I mean, yeah, on paper that looks perfect, and that's why it's been our game plan this entire time. The only wrench that's been thrown in it is the fact of how eager I was to just get back to training and improve, and because of that, that's why I think things have gone in this direction. So it's almost like I have to hold myself back from
Right,
training
right.
and trying to make the big strides of improvement that I'd like to make. So there is another factor that goes into that is the mental side. So again, on paper, you know, giving it time, slowing down the career, it makes sense. But at the same time, when you have an athlete who's super motivated to be the best they can be, sometimes progress just happens so fast.
Sure.
So we'll see, man. Like I said, Hani will be back today. We'll be on a phone call
Oh, great.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm quite certain. and then we'll get rolling for this
And
year.
let's keep things
But
real here to all the people watching and the fans out there. You're not just a good 212 competitor or contender. You're the champion. You're the Olympia champion currently. Now, it's good
yeah,
to be the champ, right? I mean, listen, let's face it. You're the
yeah,
best in the world at what you do. It's nice to be on top.
right,
I remember having a conversation similar to what we're having with Flex Lewis, probably 3 or 4 Olympias in when he was the 4-time champ or 5. And he asked me, like, what do
yeah,
you think? Like, and my advice then was, listen, you're the best in the world at what you do. That's I put you in a good position for business, put you in a good, in demand
hmm
for guest posings for your fan base, right? I mean, would I rather be the 7-time champ than a contender for the other title? Yeah, the paycheck's a little bit bigger, but ultimately there's a lot more money and
yeah,
opportunity that comes with being the champion. So I think people got to give
right,
you a little bit of a break. If you decide to go defend the title, I think you're certainly within your rights. I mean, it's your career, obviously, but to
right,
to back it up and defend it, it's like he's the best in the world. He's the Olympia champion. Let him be the champion. And like I said, you're a young guy. You're
yeah,
not at the end of your career. You're at the beginning of your career.
hmm
So I don't think you can go wrong either way. And
right,
ultimately, it's you up to you and
yeah,
your family, and your coach. But it's sure exciting, Derek.
exactly.
It's been great. The one thing I didn't see this whole week was nobody was reaching out to Derek Lunsford for his opinion.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you did.
of
The
course. Yeah,
athletes rep
how
hit me
about
up.
that? Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on, kind of setting the record straight for everybody, and what your plans are and where you're at. So the honest answer is there is no answer today.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is the honest answer, man. Like I said, again, one last time, I'll be talking to Hani probably tomorrow, and we'll see. We'll have to get cranking for this Olympia, and that'll start soon. Well, I mean, I've been training's good. I feel healthy. All is well on that end.
Oh,
I'll put
and,
that out
and
there as
you
well.
touched on a good point because we got a couple minutes, Derek. But you have to actually
Yeah,
make a decision
I got
really
time.
quick because you do have to qualify. Let's just take the invite off the table. Let's just say that's not going to happen. I know you're not expecting one by any stretch, but if you decide to go in the open, you've actually got to hit a show and qualify. And we're getting towards the end of the season, so this is a decision I would assume has to be made literally within the next week or two.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I assume so too. Like I said, training has been really good for me. I've been feeling really healthy. So going into this Olympia prep, if anybody has been watching my YouTube channel or me or my wife's Instagram, you could tell we've been living some life and enjoying that, but also still sticking to the training and stuff. So I think really going into this Olympia prep here soon is going to be a smooth transition, and it's going to be probably the best one I've ever had. I like to
Well,
think.
this will be great. Hopefully, you guys, maybe we'll have you and Hani stop back. Maybe you guys can make the big decision. We
All
can
right,
do a big unveiling right here at the Voice of Bodybuilding podcast. I'd appreciate that.
there you
In
go.
the, mean,
Yeah, yeah, hit them up
in the
and we'll see.
meantime, I'll leave you with this, Derek. It could be the words, and still 212 Olympia champion. That sounds pretty good.
That's true. That or what's the alternative?
Well, it could be and new if you were.
Hey, there we go.
Who knows, right, bro? So, but
Yeah. Appreciate you, Bob.
Derek,
Thank
thanks
you,
for
man.
stopping by, and we'll catch up real soon, my friend. You got
Thanks,
it.
man. Have a good one.